Attention. Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Just anyone. I don't care who it is. Just add a new character. Why is Jaimin Hansu not in this movie? he
What is, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Woo!
Today, we return to the circle of life. Today, we talk about the latest and certainly not last installment of the Disney live-action remakes.
I like the way that your voice went, live action.
It was Dr. Evil. Live action remakes from our childhood. We start with The Lion King today.
I don't know any of the words.
Penguins on the bottom.
What?
Pajamas,
What?
penguins on the bottom. It was from Timon and Pumbaa, Lion King 1.5.
Oh.
That's why I don't
Dig
know
a
it.
tunnel, dig a tunnel. Anyway,
That's good.
so yes, we're here. We are talking about the live-action remake
Oh my
of
God.
1996, The Lion King. Before we get into all that, my name is Corey.
I'm Caitlin.
I am Tom.
And I'm Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon.
Oh, three.
I had to.
Patreon, the Nerd On Nation, they allow us to keep the lights on and keep doing this thing that we're doing. Camera here, camera there, all this really cool stuff that
He's
we're
moving
doing.
his hands a lot.
And we keep upgrading. We get to do that because of our patrons. And if you are new to the Nerd On Nation and Patreon and what that is, essentially it is an exclusive membership service in which you can support your favorite creators, say like Nerd On, and you get stuff for it. Like extra episodes, early access to merch. Discord server is hopping all the time, and we're always having to add new servers. Like now we have food porn.
I feel like we're about to get a gardening one too,
We're
actually.
so-
We might actually get a thing I learned today. One.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And check it out, nerdon.io/Patreon.
You may notice that a voice is missing from this
Yes.
table. Ali has returned to the circle of life.
What? No.
He
no.
became the grass. The
Wow.
antelope ate the grass, and now
He's in Las
and then
Vegas.
the lions
He's in
ate
Vegas.
them.
Yeah.
That's
anyway.
what happens.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
part of the circle of
Antelope
life.
eat the
Or as
grass,
Josh
you
likes
end
to
up in
say,
Vegas.
he's dealing with family.
He's dealing with family
He's dealing
stuff.
with his family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Having fun.
Knuckles crack.
But we
He's
also-
dealing with his family.
But we also dealt with his family earlier this weekend too.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Tom, this brings us to our first segment.
Yeah, Caitlin, what does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Since this is something that is it is done, we can do a thing.
So it is a thing that is a complete thing.
I don't do this part very
It is
often.
a complete story,
Yeah, there we go.
meaning we can rate it, meaning we can
Guess that grump.
Who's the grump of the show?
Actually, you know what's funny is
tried
I used
so
to
hard,
know
guys.
the lyric to that because I was a choir boy, and one
Oh.
year
Choir
they did
boy.
boy, come back to me.
and they one year we did a Disney themed concert, and one was what are those things called where they put a bunch of songs together into one?
A compilation.
A
Medley?
medley. It was a medley
Hey, I did something
of
right.
Same.
a medley
That is what you would
of
use, though.
Lion King songs, and this was one of
That
them.
was one of them.
So I used to know the actual.
Well, I'm proud
Words.
of you from the past.
Yep.
Getting back on the show.
Yes.
Just like I'm proud of me from the future when I'm going to know what
you want
Game of Grumps
I could
is.
just do it.
Okay, go
Wow.
for it.
Caitlin, listen. I'm making sure you're doing it next time.
Yup.
So everyone at home, if this is the first time you're listening to Nerd On or watching it on YouTube or wherever you guys are watching it from, Guess That Grump is a segment of our show. So at the end, since we're rating it, we rate it 1 out of 5, 0 out of 5. Caitlin's explaining that. And the lowest in the group, no matter how high the number is the grump of the week.
That's right.
And since Caitlin always explains it, she's going to go first.
Yeah.
I think it will be Josh.
1 for Josh.
Wow. I
Josh.
think it
Joshua?
will be Tom.
1 for Tom.
I got it here, Tom. Are you taking notes too?
I just write it down too. Don't worry. I think it's going to be Josh.
So that's two for
on
Josh.
Wow.
Wow.
I'll say Josh.
3 for Josh. So, but also we have our Nerd On Nation who is also part
I
of the
think it's
voting.
half and half between Corey and Tom.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there was 4 votes last time I checked, and there's 2 on you and 2
So
on me.
regardless, it still puts it as then we'll be do 2 for Tom and then 1 for Corey. That still means Caitlin goes first. So, now with that, we add up all the votes and all that stuff. So Josh has 3, has the most votes. He will definitely go last for drama's sake. Caitlin will go first, and then everyone else goes in between. But we encourage everyone at home to play along. Send us who you think would be the
DM
grump.
us, whatever you want to do.
What the number 1 out of 5 do you rate this movie?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you were right,
I would love to hear more people's ratings, actually,
100%.
outside of our own group.
Yeah.
Because
Start
ratings don't
developing
really
like
matter.
a community rating instead of just
That'd be great.
our rating.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
add it all together.
The Nerd
and-
on Nation gives it a
Yeah.
5. I don't know.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
That would be super dope.
Yeah. Anyway,
it would be a community vote. Anyways, it'd be like we create
average it, and then you average it.
We
Yeah.
create our own Rotten Tomatoes.
This is really good content.
So that brings us to our complete and absolute spoiler of Guess That Grump, which is our initial reactions, first impressions, wherever you are, however you like to say it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how we felt after the movie.
Why don't you lead us in, Tom?
So I remember watching Lion King. I think I remember watching it in theaters, and I was so young. All I remember was my mom crying.
Oh.
But I
Wow.
just remember like Simba and Mufasa, whatever the sun touches, blah, 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 all that shit.
Whatever the light.
But yeah, and watching it as a kid, watching it multiple times, leading to this, and being now seeing like 5 or different types of live action remakes. It's like, all right, Disney, let's see what happens. And you got Jon Favreau there. It's like, boom, boom, boom. I got all this. I made Iron Man, Godfather, of the MCU,
Jungle Book.
and Jungle Book, right? So it's like, okay, it's gonna be good, right? So I go in there watching in San Diego because we're at Comic-Con. Me and Josh started to date the episode, but leaving the theater and being very nonplussed. I was I was expecting not even like the Oscar Academy Award winning
Yeah.
performances or anything like that, but just seeing something I think I would have walked away and being like, oh, I want to go watch it again with somebody, or take like a date out, or like go watch it with like a kid who I may not know. But this, I was just like, no, I wouldn't want to go watch this again. And
Interesting.
that's saying something.
Yeah.
I usually say, yeah, I'm willing to go watch again, but this time I would not go watch it again.
Yeah. For me, I had the opposite. If you listen to our Aladdin episode, I hated that movie.
You didn't hate it.
I'll say the H word. I didn't care for it.
Was it less than like a 2.5?
I've grown. I think I gave it a pity 3.
Okay.
It was going to be lower than 3.
Jesus.
Well, I think you said that you were going to give it a 2.5 or something, and
Yeah.
then you were like, well, after this conversation,
I bumped it a little bit.
it up. So
that on a
because you made
poster.
some good points about Guy Ritchie and his whole
Being a director.
being able to put his mark on the movie, which is hard to do in a Disney franchise.
yeah.
For me, I was going in with really low expectations. As I've stated in previous episodes and in life, these remakes are not my cup of tea. I've never understood why we need them except for monies.
No, we don't need it.
Right. No. I'm
They
just
need
saying. I'm just saying. Yeah. There's no reason the audience. Why do we need to retell these stories? I am of the mindset that like Princess and the Frog is the last great Disney film that I've seen, as far as their original stuff goes. So, with this, I went in with pretty low expectations.
2022. No, I'm just kidding.
I went in with low expectations, and I actually left pleasantly surprised. As far as a remake goes, and someone who's not really a fan of remakes of films, I left pleasantly surprised. I thought a lot of it hit some right notes. It was changed just enough for me to enjoy it, but it didn't try to do anything too out of left field, which I feel like Aladdin did a little bit too much of. I thought the score was fantastic.
With the super slow-mo in Bollywood.
Yeah, no, I didn't need that. But like, the characterizations were pretty great except for a couple. But I left really pleasantly surprised, and I actually enjoyed my time in the theater more than I thought I would.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, absolutely. If I had the choice, if someone's like, which one do you want to watch? Of course, my cousin's like, let's watch Lion King. I'm like, okay, but we're watching the animated version. But if he puts it on, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. There were some things missing for me, and we'll get into that. But all in all, I think it was, as far as remakes go, this is kind of more towards what I want to see.
Kate.
Okay.
I
Oh, God.
liked the movie.
There it is.
There's a question
Dot,
mark at the end.
dot,
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
There was a lot of moles, and they weren't on people.
what? Oh yeah, kind of.
It's animals.
There was a point where I saw the movie during the day on Saturday, and there were a bunch of kids there. And at first I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to
This
even
aggression will
watch
not
the
stand.
movie.
I did have a kid kicking myself.
But that happened as well. But one of the little girls during like this pivotal scene, Simba is like in the rain and he's going to
it's
go.
the ending.
Yeah, it's like at the end.
And then the music swells.
And the little girl goes, who's that? And I was like,
You were too young to be in the movie then.
well, no, she wasn't that young. I mean, she was young, but she wasn't like 3 or 4. She was old enough to like recognize. And I was like, because even I was having a hard time telling which character was who sometimes. So I was kind of like, who is this movie for? Is it supposed to be for kids? Because they can't tell them apart. Because other kids were saying the same thing.
Member berries.
Member berries?
I will say on tangent though, sometimes watching a kids movie with a bunch of kids, like watching Detective Pikachu, it's kind of great.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
then
yeah.
they're like, "It's that Pokemon." It's like, "Shut up." Okay, it's sweet. They're like, "Shut
Yeah.
up."
They're children, Tom.
But because those kids were there, they were kind of pointing out that like, was this supposed to be for kids? Because they weren't like, I heard the kids laugh maybe 2 times when there were a lot of jokes in there. The adults weren't even laughing at all.
Could be. I mean,
And-
because I had the opposite in my theater.
Oh, really?
I had
What
a
day-
bunch
what
of
did you watch
kids, they
yours?
loved it. What?
What day did you watch yours?
I watched mine Saturday
Sorry. What day did you watch yours, Kaylin?
Saturday.
at the Lamb Lane.
We watched ours on Thursday.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying I had the
Yeah.
opposite. The
Right.
kids in my theater were.
Oh yeah.
On
I
it.
was also say depending what day, what time, and all
Yeah.
that.
Right. But
Kids might be
I don't
waking
know.
up.
I
I
guess
was at
I'm
1:30.
kind of in the same boat as that, where I'm like, I couldn't really. I mean, other than obviously Simba, because how many male lions were in the movie? But like,
3.
yeah. Thank you for that, Tom. Thank you for that. I appreciate
He
you.
beat me to it by
Next
half a
time
second.
on Stating the Obvious.
I thought that the emotional stuff was only there. It felt like they spent all of the animation budget on making the animal models perfect, and then they like ran out of budget to make them expressive until like halfway through the movie. Then they were expressive for like a minute, and then at the end they were like,
Yeah.
There's a line.
I mean, I can
That's
guarantee
it.
they didn't run out of
There's a
budget.
line.
No,
'cause it's
I know
Disney,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And someone just overlooked it.
There's a line.
yeah. So
There's a lion?
I liked
There's
it.
a lot of lions, Tom.
There's a Lion
I
King.
liked it.
A lion ass king. Why
Eh.
you always
Josh.
lying?
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
So I've been thinking about this because it's really, for everybody at home and for longtime listeners, I'm not often voted the grump or even feeling that I might be the grump. It very rarely happens. And I've been thinking the past few days since I saw this movie how I was going to talk about it, because being a grump for me is very hard. And so going into this movie, so a few weeks ago we did the Toy Story 4 episode.
Yeah.
And Corey, you had mentioned how much the Toy Story franchise kind of meant to you.
Yeah.
Lion King to me hold a very, very special place in my heart, to the point that I'm actually starting to like get tingles because I want to cry, because there was when we started hanging out again, when I was a child and I would go visit him, this is one of the first times that we went and saw a movie together, and it was The Lion King. And The Lion King, for me, the original, was something that I can watch so many times and just be like blown away. So when this was announced, this actually, for the first time in a long time, I said it where there was no expectations, where I was like, okay, I'm going to go with this. It's kind of one of those trying to fight reality kind of things.
Yeah.
They're doing live action.
Yeah.
It's just, so I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to give this a chance.
She's gonna bite the
And to the
pillow.
point where I was like, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do with it. And for the first time in a really long time, I wanted to walk out of a movie.
Why are
How-
you
how-
excited
how
about
quickly,
that?
though? How
Oh,
quickly?
because you guessed it.
Yeah, that's it.
It was within the
I'm not happy
first
that he was upset. Just
within
happy
the
that I was
first
right.
like 20 minutes.
Really?
Because Tom asked me when we stepped out of the theater, he was like, "So, first impressions?" And I had silence for a little bit because I didn't want to say that, but I'm saying it.
What was the core of that?
I didn't need it whatsoever, because
We don't need any of these.
here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. In the defense of other live action things, they change things.
But that doesn't always mean success. That doesn't mean
No,
it's a good
I
thing.
understand that,
Yeah.
but for me, I was like, well, I didn't need a live action of that. Like, there were some shots that I was like, this is almost a frame for frame like thing, but you just wanted to do this game.
Mhm.
And so I just, for me personally, I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't, but unfortunately, a lot of the movie, and then I'd have to shake it off. And I'd be like, okay, no. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
I do have positive things to say about it.
No, yeah. I was
But
just
there were
curious
some
what the
things that
core
I was
about
just
it.
like,
I mean, like I feel about that way about all the live actions. Why?
We are also omitting something. We almost fell asleep
yes.
twice. I mean, I know for a fact I was like, oh my god, I'm going to fall asleep in this movie.
I
don't
was
fall
actually
asleep in-
desperate to check my phone.
I don't fall asleep in movies. The last time I fell asleep in a movie was Avatar.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? I was
And
like,
I-
no, it's
again,
like,
I-
come
Is
on,
that the
come
day you guys woke up and drove to San Diego though?
on. No, this was like after. I mean, this was like after the fact, and so like we had got out from the con and went there, and then we like got
This is
some,
the same day though?
yeah, we got some dinner, and like we were like.
We were both
hanging
ready
out.
and awake, and this is gonna be
And it
dope.
was like an early showing, and I was like, okay, this is fine. And then I was like,
In fact, we were gonna do a much later showing, just in case. However, the day at Comic-Con went, but we chose an early showing because we got done with our interviews sooner,
and we
and
didn't
we were
want to
like,
stay up late.
and
Yeah.
so we went and we watched it at kind of like the first Thursday showing, which is at like 7 or something like that.
It was like the second. We
Yeah.
were like
Yeah.
6 o'clock, 6:30.
And so we were like ready and ready. And so, and I
Ready and
again,
ready.
ready and ready. So I really hate to be the Debbie Downer.
Thanks,
on
man.
I
this,
don't
so-
Bring
think
it
you are.
down.
I think I might be the hype
Hype beast.
Harry.
Yeah.
the-
Don't worry,
the-
Josh.
hype
You're,
beast.
you're
On the
not
hype train.
alone.
Gotta
And
bring it down, Josh. Anyway, so we'll get more into it. We'll talk about it in our qualms and favorite
Yeah.
parts. But first, we got to do our brief synopsis and then production. And then we'll get into all the meat and potatoes. But so, brief synopsis of the movie Lion King 2019 live action remake directed by Jon Favreau, right? So, think of the original movie, but so it's live action, right? And so we have Mufasa and all these animals gathering around Pride Rock. I don't even know if they mentioned it, called Pride Rock. But they have the birth of Simba, the new prince, right? And we get a little bit of backstory of the brother of the king, who is Scar, who is like a little mad that he's not in line to be king anymore because
Yeah.
his son was born. And growth kind of happens and ensues where you see time changes because of a dung beetle.
Yeah.
And baby Simba and Mufasa talking about like the kingdom and what needs to be of a king. Like a king needs to be able to give instead of being able to take. You know, it's a big little conservation piece, as well as like the hyenas, how they're constantly fighting against them. And then baby Simba and Nala go to the mammoth graveyards and then run into like the main
elephant.
mammoth elephant graveyard. And mammoths would sound more dope, would it not? Go to see hyenas, who are the primary antagonistic force for most of the movie, as a force, but not as the main pusher. And then Mufasa has to save him. They have that, hey, dude, kid, I'm just trying to protect you. Even kings could feel scared every once in a while. And you find out that Scar is plotting with the hyenas to take out Mufasa and bring the hyenas out of the shadows into the rest of the sunny goodness and
To
have
the
the
Pride
rest
Lands.
to the Pride Lands to have all the food they can have, because hyenas' hunger will never be quelled. And then Scar is trying to teach Simba how to roar. Giant stampede. Mufasa dies. Wham wham. We all cry. It's still sad. And then he says, "Never return, Simba," because what are they going to do with the prince that killed their father? He runs. He meets Timon and Pumbaa. They say, "Hakuna Matata. You can't worry about the past," and stuff like that. Scar is like, "Yo, dog. I'm sorry to say, I gotta be new king." And then Alfred Woodard is like,
sorry.
is like, "Who's gonna be? Well, what are you gonna do?" And then it's like, "I need an army." Blah blah. I'm bringing these hyenas in. The hyenas come. All the female lions are like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And then Simba grows up, and then like, even though he's a predator, he eats grubs. He scares some gazelles because he's always gonna be a lion. And then Nala, who's now grown to become Beyonce, Queen Bee, she's like, "You know what? I'm done with this. I'm gonna go find someone to come help us." And then
This is how we go
this is how
down.
she runs, like with like a doggy paddle in the water. And then she finds Simba, and then she pins him down the way that she jujitsu, like Brazilian jujitsus him all the time, pins him, and says like, "Hey, we gotta go. Like, you need to come back. We all thought you're dead." He's like, "Nah, man, it's complicated. Yada yada." She like leave, like, "All right, you're a sucker. Go ahead." Rafiki comes out with his little roots and stick, and he's just like, "Yo, I know your father." It's like, "No, you did know." I was like, "No, I know, blood." And he's like, "Let's go to these thorns and brambles. Let's look at this water." Boom! The thunder and sky, the fucking sky elementals come out, and it's like, "Yo,
Up the clouds.
I'm Mufasa. Yo, return to the circle of life.
Galactus.
Not continue circle of life, but return to the circle of life."
The angry
He's like,
cloud.
"You're right, man. You're so right. Nah, I'm gonna go." And then he comes in, and then Timon and Pumbaa are like, "Yo, what we're gonna do is like, we need some bait to go like help out to fight the hyenas." He's like, "Who's the bait?" It's like, "It's you, Seth Rogen, because you're a pig." And then they're gonna go run off, and then they go fight all the stuff, just like the video game. It's all cool, climactic. The same little burning embers go into Simba's eyes. He kills Scar, and no, he doesn't kill Scar. He pushes
No.
him off. Hyenas kill him because hyenas are always hungry. He does that little climbing thing through the rain, and everyone cries because that part always makes me
Yep.
cry. And then he fucking roars, and it's all great and all great. And then like it's all raining, and then all the fire's gone. And then like years later, like the grass is back in the Pride Land, and then we get baby new lion.
For Lion King 2.
Lion King 1.5, and then Lion King 2.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait. Actually, I can't wait for the shitty sequels to be live action.
Yeah.
That would be great. I would pay all the money for that.
We need Aladdin
God.
and the 40 Thieves.
Return of
Prince of
Jafar.
Thieves.
Return of Jafar first,
Yeah.
because that was a bad one. I love all the
actually
bad
did-
Disney.
The
sequels.
third one was actually
This is what-
really
the
good.
Hand of Fate.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Turning the
Anyway.
Turtle Island. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway,
I would love to see all the Disney sequels more
Yeah.
than the Disney live action. There's live.
I
action.
agree with that.
Um,
Production, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, a little studio. Don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Gasp.
Director and producer Jon Favreau. He's directed things like Iron Man, Chef, Jungle Books, Zathura, Cowboys
Earthbound.
and Aliens. And he's also produced things like Avengers, Dinner for Five, and the upcoming Mandalorian
Show.
Yeah, thank you. Another producer, Jeffrey Silver, Tron Legacy, Terminator Salvation, Mindhunters, 300, The Santa Claus, Gilchrist, Karen
Gilchrist.
Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, Deaf Sisterhood, Cowboys and Aliens, screenplay by Jeff Nathanson, who did Speed 2, Cruise Control.
With the
That's the one without Keanu. The Terminal, Rush Hour 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Cast, right out the gates, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, my hero. He's known for things like Atlanta, Community, Solo, The Martian, Guava Island, his original movie on Amazon. Beyonce, you know from everything.
Everything.
But Dreamgirls, Austin Powers, Cadillac Records. Chiweedle, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm terrible at it.
Iwa 4.
What is it? Iwa 4? I've never been able to do it, and I apologize. American Gangster, The Secret in Their Eyes, 12 Years a Slave. John Oliver, who you know from things like The Daily Show, Rick and Morty, Smurfs, and Community. Billy Eichner, Billy on the Street, Angry Birds, Neighbors 2, and also Parks and Rec. He's pretty great in. She drove me here. John Connie?
I think it's Connie.
Black Panther, The Ghost of the Darkness, and then we have Seth Rogen, Pineapple
Ghost in the
Express.
Darkness.
Go on.
Val Kilmer.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
It's about it's about two hunters and trying to kill
like a
side
lion,
group,
like the lion.
and
like
it's called a ghost.
and it's based on a true story.
So
It's
episode,
hardcore.
or is that what's happening?
I would be down.
Seth Rogen, who you know from Pineapple Express, Knocked Up, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and basically any Apatow. Alfred Woodard, Luke Cage, Hearts and Souls, X-Pax. I've never heard of that. X-Pax. James Earl Jones, who you know from Star Wars
Everything.
Coming to America, Hunt for Red October, and the OG Lion King. Runtime is 118 minutes, released July 19th, 2019. Budget of $260 million. It grossed $270 million.
Oh, sorry, 510.
$510 million as of today.
Oh my god.
Rotten Tomatoes at the time of writing this was 55% critics and 89% audience.
Josh printed it out before I finished
we go.
it, so it's okay. It's my fault.
So there you have it,
So
folks.
yeah, it made
Wow.
it made its money back already. So we're gonna get another more live
More
action
live actions.
sequels. I suspect
Somebody in an office went, "Excellent, it's working."
the Brave Little Toaster
I wouldn't be mad about it though.
would probably be good.
Brave little
watch that.
toaster.
I would love if they took not as popular ones.
Yeah, let's not blow those loads
Oh,
first.
Brave
How
Little
about
Toaster.
Robin Hood?
Yeah, the
about-
live action Robin Hood with the foxes
Or
would be
you know
great.
they got all these old dog stories coming out. How about Fox and the Hound?
Oh,
Tears.
Wow.
And then you know what they have? They have cats. Maybe they're like aristocrats.
Aristocats.
Yeah.
Aristocats.
the cats.
You know what I'm saying?
The other thing is a
I'd be
whole
in for
nother
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Also-
so there you have it.
I forget. You know, we're thinking about all the live action remakes and all that stuff. I totally forgot about Pete's Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally
yeah.
forgot about that dragon. Anyways,
It was good, but again,
Benjamin Bratt, my man.
the original is just the shit.
So favorite parts.
Yes.
Favorite parts.
I'll start.
I was gonna say I want to start.
Oh, go for it.
You can't ever like get over that last scene. I talked about it in the synopsis, and Caitlin was talking about it in her qualm, with the ending.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the ending, he's climbing the
The
rock,
fire and the
no, it's just-
darkness.
what's the rain? It's like
Yeah.
the washing of the sins of the past and the cleansing of the lands, and the music swells, as Ollie would say it. But that's
Scar's gonna toss him back in, and
But no. It's
Oh,
during
very,
the rain.
very
During
end,
when he right when he's
Gotcha.
roaring,
Yeah.
and it's like he's roaring for the first time, right? And then so it's like cool, he made his roar, and then also like he's now king of where he's supposed to be. But also that's the same music that they used for the trailer, and that's the thing that bought my ticket. It was like when I heard like they weren't using "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" song, they weren't using Sabanya, they were using that song. And I was like, this is
the song.
Yeah.
this is the song, because it is about the return of a king to his people and all that stuff. It's like, it's like prodigal son returns, and it's
Yeah.
like the reluctant leader. It's like, "Ah!" So it's so good. Like I love that scene.
Yeah. That's why Hamlet's still a show.
But he
that
dies.
People watch. Yeah. But you know what I mean.
But he dies.
But it's the same. It's that
Fortinbras
same
is the
return.
king.
Yeah. For me, it was I actually loved. I think this was a beautiful looking film. Technically, it's an achievement in and of itself,
Yeah.
beyond storytelling or anything like that. The fact that you had, I mean, just watching the Circle of Life opening and seeing like photorealistic CG was like, I don't understand how much time that took.
There were some
So like,
scenes that I
shout
was
out
like,
to the artists on that
whoa.
one because you guys knocked that shit out of the park.
That was terrifyingly beautiful.
yeah.
Terrifyingly
terrifying.
beautiful.
Why terrifying?
Because it's like every
Scary Terry.
fur,
Yeah,
every
it
single
looked
hair was in the
so
right
real.
place.
Yeah.
Are you
So
sure?
I just want to
I
like
don't know if that's realistic then.
right out the gates. Just want to give a shout out to all the VFX artists on this film because what you've achieved for this film is fucking astonishing.
Yeah.
But for me, like a lot of favorite parts were little moments that I'm sure were ad libbed. Like I thought Timon and Pumbaa were great. At least Timon's ad libs were fucking hilarious. I think Billy Eichner knocked it out of the park. I think he really took the role and like paid homage to what it was before, but was able to comfortably put his own spin on it.
Well,
which
make the character his own.
which is a tough because I mean you know it's like singing the national anthem in a sense. Like
Shout out to Fergie.
I was hearing Seth Rogen talk about it. He's like, you want to make it your own because everyone knows the song or everyone knows the parts, but at the same time, you don't want to be the one who sings the national anthem like a crazy person.
Can I actually speak to that? Because one of the first things that was and this is going to be a positive.
Yeah.
One of the first things was, no, wait. So at first I didn't like Timon and Pumbaa.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appreciate it at first. But then I just started, because I had such a negative reaction, I just started reading as much as I could about the making of the film. And the rehearsal process that those two went through, it called back to old theater roots of like,
man.
he basically put them in a room and was like, keep running the scene and now just wing it.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that because they knew the lines, but they played as well. And those two, when you look at the original comedians that did what they did, and now you have a different type of comedy, a different kind of type of comedians playing.
23 years later.
And so it's like, they know the lines, they know the heart of it, but they're allowed to kind of be their own.
I felt like the two
type.
of them fundamentally understood their characters better than anyone in the cast, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the cool thing is kind of like when, not trying to create the huge discourse was like that question, like who is the audience for? It's like, it's kind of for both. It's kind of for bridging the audience of like older and newer so that like you can kind of tell the story of like where it came from and all that stuff. And then they did modernize it. I mean, like some of the like ad libs or, that Billy was doing was like answering questions of how the old original story that, was adapted forever, now to this newer stage with this new screenplay with a different audience that's seen Endgame, that's seen like 9/11 happen, that's seen all these crazy things happen. It's like, how do you answer questions like, what is the circle of life?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's actually, and then the way that Simba sees it, it's not really a circle. And the way they see it, it is, or the way they talk about
It was almost like they were breaking the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
which made
it
it
was a
very
fine line.
which made it very stage play.
Yeah.
Which it comes back to a little bit, going back to the stage performance.
It was like a Laurel and Hardy. Like I appreciated
Well,
it.
you've gained
after
400
the fact.
pounds
Like,
since we started.
yeah.
I thought that was great. But yeah, I have more, but I'll pass it around if anyone else has any.
I mean, on the same vein, I really appreciated because in the forest, like it was cool to expand the world that they actually lived in. There's a passage of time and whatnot that we get through a song, but there was a growth of a world, like showing other animals that are in the forest and seeing other things,
Or even interacting with them, not even just showing them. But
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
interact with gazelles.
and they have little lines here and there, and I appreciated that. It was really
I honestly thought because they do the in the jungle in the original one, but the way they did this and transitioning into the scene with Nala, I thought this strangely was a bit better than the animated one. Just that moment, the transition felt a little more natural because in the animated one, you see Nala, it cuts back to them, you see Pumbaa alone, and it's kind of just this like, okay, I see where this is going thing.
Yeah.
But in this one, it was just this nice musical number, which was nice homage to the original. But then all of a sudden, she just pops out and it's just destroyed, and you're like, oh shit, here she is.
Can I add to that? And I think that's a cool thing with the adaptations, and I think I said it with Aladdin too. It's like it's allowing the Walt Disney proper and the filmmakers to as well course correct a little bit. Like Aladdin's not just like terrible place. Agrabah's not a terrible place to be. They're actually trying to create it as like a sovereign nation. How do sovereigns, respond to that? And so with Lion King, additions of different animals in the wherever the hell they were, like not feeling like it's just isolated between Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba, where it's like this whole world kind of feels like it's enough away as an oasis away from the Pride Lands, but like other animals are there too, and they're not just like, what's a lion? So it was really
they
nice
still have instincts to run from the lion and stuff. Yeah.
Caitlin.
I
The
did
credits.
think it was no. I did think Simba like popping out of the jungle to get the butterflies was adorable.
Oh yeah, grown.
Because I thought it was
fighting
actually going to be
Gazelle.
Nala at that point for whatever
Grown-ass
reason.
Simba going, I almost got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he's like, I'm gonna go. It's like, oh yeah, you guys are never gonna be friends. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know why I thought that was so cute.
That's Gazelle's fault.
Oh, also, running away from the hyenas in those tunnels where they would like randomly pop in the holes and dig down through.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I super dug that. Ha, dug it.
Wow.
I'm proud of myself.
I really dug.
Jesus.
We've had conversations on this show before of like favorite Disney villains and stuff like that. I know that Jeremy Irons is like the number one.
Scar's
like
my favorite
his
villain.
Scar. His Scar is just like yes, but
Yes.
yes.
I hate it.
Chiwetel. I
I got someone
appreciated it.
corrected me on it. I said Chiwetel the other day, and I think they were like, I think it's Chiwetel, and I was like, I thought it was Chiwetel.
Well,
we'll know that we're trying our best, and
Yeah.
we will
Also,
take corrections.
we're not trying to make fun of him, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
He's trying to do something different. Again,
Yeah,
it was
he
that
was-
same thing where you're like, I know this is an iconic thing, and I have to pay homage a bit, but I have to put my own spin on it.
And I mean, in the same vein as it's like, it's a qualm, but it's also I appreciate what they did there. Like with Be Prepared. Like I remember there was this big uproar of like, oh, it's not going to include it, and then they did include it.
They kind of included it.
They kind
Kinda,
of
sorta.
it's a sing monologue ish.
Sing along.
It's 2 lines from the two stanzas from the song.
So they include.
I have some stuff to say about it.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But I appreciated his Scar.
Yeah.
To pick up kind
Especially
of
in the new scene that they added for this with Sarabi
yes.
about dining and like join me. It was very
now the
Shakespearean.
lions eat late.
Yeah.
Like that was, especially in that scene, I felt like his Scar. I was like, this is
More
a
of
good-
this.
This
Yeah.
more.
MOAR.
And the design from Scar for me, I was like, I mean, if you're going to make because the original Scar doesn't have really a realistic color scheme.
No.
And so if you're going to put a
Lions with
realistic,
black manes.
if you're going to put a realistic color scheme on a lion,
Make him look like Lucky.
he's seen some shit.
He's seen some shit and he's like not physically healthy.
Yeah, well, I like what they added, and I can't remember if that's from the original one or not, but where he said, like, it's like, as a lion, you've always had the strength and the brains. I've always been, gifted with one, but not the other.
Did he say both? I
No,
thought
he said,
my brother's always
I'm the brains, you're the brawn.
When it comes to brawn,
But
my brother has
he
a
also
lion's
mentioned
share.
the courage that his
Courage, yes.
courage.
Yeah.
His courage and strength.
And I did like the actually I really liked the throwaway line where he's like, "Is that a challenge? I wouldn't dare fight you, not again."
Not again. Yeah.
And so that just like hints that maybe
he fucked him up.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna say, I love the original with the music and all that stuff, but goddamn, when Donald Glover and Beyonce harmonize, it's fucking great.
Magic?
It's fucking great. I was like, Corey, you're the biggest Donald Glover fan
I
I
am.
fucking know, and I know I'm saying blasphemy where it's like I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan. I'm not saying I'm not her fan, but it's like I'm not like, oh my god, put everything down, stop the press. If she's here, if she is, I would say stop the press. Let's talk.
Right,
talk
of course.
Fair.
But I just didn't expect it to sound that
That
good.
good.
I was like,
Oh,
I
wow.
thought I was very happy. Of course, like I'm a big Donald Glover fan, so I was like holding my breath waiting to hear him sing Hakuna Matata because I didn't watch anything leading up to it, and I thought his entrance for the song
it's so good.
Yeah.
when he's the older
Yeah,
Simba when he
I-
first jumps out and
Yeah.
kills.
Oh,
him, I was
he's
like,
riffing.
Oh, I know.
He's riffing
oh,
now.
he's riffing.
great.
I literally went like Christopher. Wow.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken. I was like, holy
I was so
shit,
happy. I
it's
like
good.
at that moment I was
Wow.
finally like, oh good, oh he's gonna do it.
But then also with Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Yeah.
that was great too. Like between the two, I was like, all right, I'm down with this. I'm like, I was in my mind, I was like, I might go check out this soundtrack real quick. You know what I'm saying? But
I thought her new song was great too.
Yeah.
Spirit.
The
it was
thing-
catchy.
You know what's the thing? I'm really sad. I always get really weirded or like, oh man, they gotta have a new song in there, whatever
Yeah.
crap. And it's like I just feel like every artist has to do that.
Mhm.
But then when it happens, I'm like, I could have wanted a little bit longer of that song. Just see what
Yeah.
happens. You know?
It fit really well.
Well,
with
it's the same
that.
thing with Naomi Scott with Jasmine too. It's
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
could have wanted a longer song.
wanted
It's
one
like
more of that
Beyonce, I
song.
could have wanted a longer song. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I dig it.
it's like those were the delightful surprises. I'm like, okay, I'm about this.
More Beyonce is never a bad thing.
Beyonce,
Queen Bee.
Queen.
I have a couple more if anyone
ahead.
else wants to.
it.
I thought J.D. McCrary, who played young Simba,
Mm.
knocked it out of the park. I'm so impressed with him. This is like his first big thing. He sang with Donald Glover at the Emmys or
Oh, very
Who's
cool.
that
Grammys
kid?
at the Grammys. Yeah, he's
Okay.
a little kid. But man, especially during the scene where his when Mufasa dies, I thought that kid acted the shit out of that scene. His voice acting was just like, I was like, I hope someday I act that well because that,
When
it
I
really
grow
got-
up, I want
like,
to be like you.
especially like I'm like you, Josh. Like I grew up on that film, watching that VH. It was like that and Oliver and Company were the two I watched the most growing up.
Yeah.
And so knowing Mufasa's gonna die, of course, it's kind of sad, but it didn't hit me until that kid starts his emoting of like the dad and his like voice cracks and everything, and I was like, oh damn.
Well, I'm gonna ask you. Did you fucking forget?
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying I wasn't expecting to really get into it because I was like, I know he dies. Da, 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 da. But then like just hearing that kid act it out was like I was very impressed. So like shout out to JD McCrary because like I think
Well, it's kind of a relief
killed it.
because you know what's happening. So it's a lot of pressure, I think, on these actors
Yeah.
to present something and emote something that you know is coming.
right.
And you have like an expectation in your brain based on memory
Yeah.
of like how it goes. And so then you do have these actors that they take you on a different emotional train
Right.
because it is a new voice, but it's also they are presenting it in a little bit of a different way.
Mhm.
So
But like afterwards, I did the same thing you did, where I watched a bunch of behind the scenes stuff and watching Favreau direct him. He was just such a professional. Like I don't know how old he is exactly, but I would guess like 11 or 12.
yeah.
And this kid was just in this booth, like so professional. And I was like, someday I'm gonna be as good as
When
this
I grow up.
The only other thing I had to add was I was really happy that they made Shenzi, the hyena.
The lead woman.
Shenzi. I
Yeah.
think it's Shenzi. It's not the same name as the one from.
It's not Whoopi.
Yeah, but I like that they made her more the lead than just
Prominent.
blending in with the rest. Like
Yeah.
she
Well, it's
kind of
not.
was.
It's not the Three Stooges. It's
the hyenas.
Yeah. Well, it's
Uh,
like Queen of
You
the
still
Damned.
had Keegan, Michael Key, and
And
Eric
Eric
Andre,
Andre.
as the comedic relief there. So I was glad she wasn't a part of that, because there is something to, like, especially in the animated film. I was never scared of the hyenas. I mean,
Mhm.
be prepared when they're goose stepping. I was a little
Yeah,
terrified.
that's scary.
Is that what it's called?
But like
Goose
they
stepping?
were, yeah. But the three of them together, I was never intimidated by them. And like watching this with Shenzi, I was like, I'm actually scared of you. Like you actually terrify me. As like this is how
You scare me.
Right. Like I
Well,
thought
she was bigger, and
Yeah.
she became more of a actual
She was
opposition.
grounded. Yeah.
Well, she became an actual opposition to Nala
Yeah.
or Nairobi.
It was Nala.
Okay.
It was Nala. Or you mean Sarabi?
Sarabi. I was like,
You
is
mean
the mom
Nairobi?
Or, I was like Nairobi. I don't know.
Just making up names now. Yeah, her and Nala fight at the end there. But yeah, so I really appreciated that turn because that was something I never knew I was missing in the original. Was that like I should actually be terrified of these hyenas? I mean, the lions won't even stand up to them.
Well, again, there's only one main antagonist in in
Yeah.
the first one, and the remake there is.
so I was happy about that.
I want to add one more. Alfred Woodard,
Yeah,
who's
we are.
in Luke Cage, and in Hearts and Souls. I watched her first on Hearts and Souls, Robert Downey Jr. back in the day, MCU creation. But I've always been a fan of her. I've always been, and so like listening to her perform, and I'm just like, oh, like I just need a little bit more of her in live action world, or like I don't know. I think she gets slept on so much. She became like the main antagonist in Luke Cage, which is like super dope. And I don't know. I just hands down the way you want to give shout out to the little boy, I want to give shout out to the woman.
Always appreciate it.
The woman.
Yeah. Oh, and can't wait to be king. I had a fucking blast.
Everything sounded great.
Yeah.
Everything sounded great and looked great.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like they
Okay. Oh.
get it.
I
Yeah,
saw you shaking your
that's-
head. I was like, oh no.
We get it. But like that number especially, that's when I was like 100% in. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm into this.
Nice.
Now,
Favorite characters?
favorite characters, side characters.
Oh, Simba and Timon.
oh. All
Done.
right.
Easy peasy. I
That's
thought
quick.
Billy, I mean, to me, Billy Eichner, however you want to say it, I think he stole the show for me. Just being able to walk that tightrope really well of making it his own, but not changing the character itself to a point where I'm like, I don't know this character anymore.
Catering.
Simba and Zazu.
Oh, John Oliver.
Yeah.
Zazu.
Zazu was great.
I had a cousin who thought he was a woodpecker.
Oh.
Smashed his beak into
Incoming danger.
Yeah.
That's my shadow.
Yeah, no, I think he was that character to a T.
You're right.
And
That's another one. Him and Billy,
he was
for
just
sure.
perfect. So yeah.
Josh. The credits are not a character.
Scar. And
Side character.
yeah, I'm thinking of side characters. Timon's a side character? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll say Timon. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, there's not many main, I guess. It's like Scar, Simba.
It's
Nala.
the
Nala.
biggest
I
of
think
like
those three,
ensemble feel, you know.
Yeah.
Scar favorite, second Nala.
Sure. She's
Yeah.
a main, but
Yeah, I mean those are the two.
so
Aside,
Scar and Nala, and then who's a side that you?
side.
We'll say it's a tie between them.
The field mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Zazu probably.
Zazu.
Zazu.
Zazu's a solid choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I really like Nala because I don't know. I just, in a weird way, I felt like she had a little bit more agency
She did.
in this one than she did in the other one. And I think it maybe because of that extended like sneaky heisty scene
Mm-hmm.
where she's hiding and sneaking away from the hyenas as well as Scar.
Yeah, because in the first one, she just kind of escapes to go get food.
Yeah.
She's not really on a mission to get help.
Anything.
Oh yeah,
She just
'cause that's
happens
what
to
happened.
find
yeah,
Simba.
yeah. I was like, yeah, that's what happened.
She's just there getting food because they've ran out.
But also, I like the little jujitsu pin.
Yeah.
Jujitsu pin.
Pinch it.
Cool. Now Qualms.
Qualms.
Qualms is
Qualms.
I
I'll
shall
represent
take over
Ollie and say
Dr.
gripes. Yeah, you can.
No.
Nice.
DJ Qualms. Like, bicka, bicka. Okay.
Wow.
Who's up first?
Not me. I think I'll have the least. So I'll go.
I'll
Tom?
start off with the first stone. So Corey and I were talking a little bit about this. So they omitted one specific scene, and the specific scene is when Rafiki talks to Simba to be like, "Hey, this is the come to Jesus moment of like, hey, I know your father," and it's like, "You knew him, I do know him," blah blah blah. And this is a super nitpicky thing. I think there's differences between different actors, obviously, and the original source material from the original animated movie. And there's a part with the water that happens, and where he's like, "Oh, that's just me," or it's like that's a reflection. And then in the live action, he says, "No, look harder," and then he like whips the
Look
like.
closer.
He says, "Look closer," and then he just like whips it up, and then the reflection changes and it gets closer to his dad. In the animated movie, and it's hard for me to like leave this baggage. And I know it's my own personal thing. The way that the Rafiki says it in the anime is like, "Look hard," and it makes you like really start slowing down
Mm-hmm.
and really starting to be in that same meditative trance, like transitional feel.
Yeah.
Versus here, it's kind of like, "You idiot!" Like, look at it. It's supposed to, and it's more of that again knee jerk 2019 like common sensality that we need.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of struck me in a weird way because I remember that very vividly as a child. You know, who may be in a theater and not knowing what character is what, but saying like, "Shut up and look through these things." And I think that was a poignant thing that was missed. And there's other things like that were like missed for Rafiki and other characters. It's like there's so much breakneck speed
Yeah.
because it's going based off the pacing of the animated film in such like in a way that's actually supposed to be admired in such a way because it's like carbon copy shot
Well,
for
it is
shot.
and it isn't because they also add new scenes,
Yeah.
new songs. So like, it's like Psycho. Gus, who did that?
The film?
Yeah, not Hitchcock. The remake. It's a shot-for-shot remake. Gus Van Sant, I think.
Yeah. probably.
Anyway, so he did a shot-for-shot remake, and it was a 50-50 split in the audience. 50% of it loved it because it was like an homage. They remembered everything. 50% hated it because it wasn't anything
No.
new. And I feel like that's where a lot of this falls.
I mean, I think the tough thing too to do like word for word or frame by frame remakes are a tough thing to do, especially if they're animated or doing like live action. And in a weird way, I don't know where this is gonna become the adaptation episode, but like with Watchmen, there was a similar thing, right? But the thing is that's never been done before.
Right.
So I don't give it that same flack when it's
But
like
there's
it's-
also two mediums.
yeah, exactly. It's complex
This is
to that.
I would consider this the same medium.
And it's exactly so. It's like well, it's a visual medium. You rewind the movie. There's a beginning, middle, and end, and,
And
it's
it's
a
animated.
and it's within a 2-hour long period. So
Yeah.
that was like a thing that I was like I felt very like oh, they missed that part. If they're gonna go out of their way to try to like recreate the opening sequence, recreate the death scene, it's like recreate
They picked certain things.
to be very true to, and they picked things that were not. And I just don't agree with the filmmakers that part, or the writers, or whatever the fuck
Or the
it is.
actor's choice to how to say it.
Yeah. I can elaborate a little bit more about that scene, particularly because that's also the scene where after he gets the vision thing, he like, and then like these like fireflies come out and this dust wind comes away. And then Rafiki's like, oh, the weather's changing. He's supposed to act as if he doesn't know what the hell's going on. And then he says the whole line. He says, it's like, well, that's the past. He's like, Hakuna Matata. And then there's the two conflicts of Hakuna Matata is like, it's in the past, so you don't worry about it. And then Rafiki's lesson is, it's the past, you're supposed to learn from it, or you could just go on your life running away from it. And then he hits him with the stick, which we don't see till the
That
final
hurts.
act. And it's like, that hurts. It's like, but that's in the past. It doesn't matter.
It still hurts.
And then he's like, you could either run from it or learn from it. And he goes to hit him again, and Simba dodges. Like, see, you learned from it.
yeah, now
and
I'm
then-
gonna take your stick.
And then he does that, and then he takes a stick and runs away. And it's a big like, oh my god. He's like, that's the lesson. That
It's
was the
cathartic
lie.
and like, yay.
Like the midway lie for Simba is like the past doesn't matter. You could run away from it the entire time. And then there's a point to that. And like Rafiki kind of, guru wisdom's Deus Ex Machina is it, where it's like, hey, you have to go back. It's not even like knowledge like, hey, we need you. You have to go back. There's that sense of duty to go back, but it's more like your personal story is
it's
now
a personal change within him.
yeah, it's getting reflected because of the guard of the old past of Rafiki. And that was
Yeah.
like one thing I really liked in this one where you saw Rafiki and Zazu see the entire Pride Rock go into asunder. And it's like, this is the old guard seeing their kingdom that they loved going away. But then they don't get that with Rafiki because he kind of just like, Simba's alive! And that's it. But then you don't get that later on happening where like he's mentoring Simba for like that like 6-minute scene.
Yeah.
And they don't have this in them. And I was like really like sad because I was like, why is Simba going back?
Yeah.
Because his dad told him to go.
Well,
And that's it.
Let's
Because like Nala
Yes.
says come back and he's like, no. And so there's no reason for him to go back. He said right no. And then when he goes to see Rafiki, he's like, you don't know my dad. He's like, but your dad said this. And then he gets this vision thing and his dad says, return to the circle of life, reclaim your throne, remember who you are. And that's it. So like he has, again, no internal lesson to be taught like, I should go back because the past hurt me. Because there's also a part in the animated series like, I had to go face my past. And then that's when the whole like, the past can hurt, da-da-da. But so a lot of these...
I got it. Yeah, I still felt it from
Simba or
the
Mufasa.
dad, yeah, but I took it more as it's not really talking to his dad, but like learning from his own past and how his dad used to act, how he needs to find that courage that he always admired in his dad for himself. So instead of having someone hold his hand through it, he came full circle from his own experiences. So for me personally,
It did enough.
that fit the message, which is like,
I think I almost had that, and I think if it wasn't for the fact of like, and this happens in the animated movie too, and I think it's tough because it's a loss, it's a trauma.
Yeah.
that he fucking saw his dad fucking die, he becomes Batman, right? But like,
Ellie were here.
right?
Oh.
No, he'd hate the movie. No, he'd love it because whatever. But it's like in the live action, they really harken back to like, don't leave me again. It's like, I never left you, and I never will. And it's much to me that was like this part of the story is part of him having to realize his dad's always going to be with him, and not of, but you still got to handle your business. And so I was like, yeah, now you've learned to live, but then that doesn't still to me get me to have him like motivated to go back. That was that scene.
I got that.
I would
get
have
that.
wanted more.
Yeah.
To kind
Must.
of to lion pounce on that.
Yeah.
Pin.
Wow. Wow. In the same vein, Tom and I don't usually agree on things.
It's weird.
It's weird. But for me, it made Rafiki a useless character, removing some of the things that were a part of the story. Again, you already said it. It's kind of personal baggage, and I'm listening to everybody at the table and hearing other things. But I'm just tiger pouncing on that and just saying, yeah, just to me, Rafiki just seemed very kind of useless in this telling of this story.
For sure.
So yeah.
I agree 100% because you just reminded me of a point where, because Rafiki, I felt the same way where I felt like he didn't really need to be in the story at all because I feel like Simba could have looked in a puddle on a rainy day and had the same experience if Rafiki wasn't there. And there was a point where all Rafiki had done at this point was like say a bunch of things really quickly.
Break a root.
That break a root, and he had lifted his arms up and been like, ah! 2 times, and so there was I think he does it 3
He beat
times
the
in
shit
total.
out of a ton of hyenas.
He did that
at this
too.
point. At this point.
At this point. So like the last time he comes back, and I'm like, I swear to God, if he raises his arms and just yells and laughs again, and then like he crawled up the tree and is like, ah! And I was like, why? You have done nothing at this
That's
point.
what baboons do.
Not
Fine.
gonna
Okay.
lie,
They yell.
I did
They
kind of
yell
want,
and raise their arms.
I did kind of want him to pull out his staff out of the tree and just fucking just Mjolnir comes out. It's
Yeah.
like, oh shit! Like,
I
fucking
get what you're
badass.
saying. I don't agree that Simba could have done it on his own. I think that's where Rafiki comes in, because he doesn't. He even looks at his reflection. He's like, it's my reflection.
Yeah, and then he
that's-
does the thing.
He's the whole point is him going like, stop being a fucking idiot.
Mhm.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't. His staff fight saved it.
This
for me.
is
Well, no, I
Corey like swishing our puddle and being like, enough of your bullshit.
no,
Look
not
harder.
at all. Not at all.
No.
Not even a little bit.
But no, yeah, I was glad to see that fight because I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that happened in the
when
movie.
he pulled
And
the
then-
staff
yeah.
out, I was like,
Well, and they did the whole Seth Rogen running through bowling pin, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I am mad about, and this is a stupid petty thing. No, I have a lovely bunch of coconuts.
I know. When they did
That's a really
the-
dumb thing. to be mad
I didn't
about.
need that because they added the scenes with Scar and Sarabi.
It did
It's
bother
more
me.
important to me.
The Be Our Guest actually made me mad. I hated that so
No,
much.
I loved it.
I
it's a
hated
Disney
it.
trope. They do
I
it.
was
They
like,
do it.
why?
Did you-
No,
you
I
remember what I
wanted
said?
anything else.
I don't remember exactly what you said, but I think we both went.
No, so
What?
I literally out loud. So I wasn't
Oh.
expecting it at all, and then all of a sudden they said, "B, guess." I said, "What the fuck?"
They said B and then ran.
And then I was like, I literally was like, "Don't you fucking do it!"
Loved
and then
it.
they did it. I was like, you know what? There's some fucking
love
balls to
it.
do that shit. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate it. But I
I
was like,
love it.
what the fuck? It's kind of like every time Marvel movies mention Star Wars, and Star Wars is like has Nick Fury and
Yeah.
Jane Foster, and I'm like, you broke the universe now.
Yeah.
So I just like laughed. I was like, oh,
I
God.
appreciated it.
I did not like it
Um,
at
dug
all.
it.
Did not
So
like.
the one
Why?
thing.
I just felt like I can't think of better words than this, but really self-masturbatory for Disney. I was
Well,
just
it's-
like, why?
so-
Why did you put this here when I already know that you made all the other movies? I don't want a callback. Why are they even bringing this up?
In a very
Do they know about Beauty and the Beast?
in a
They're
very
talking animals.
I know.
Draw the line.
in a very surgical way. We talked about this where like there happens, you know, that's how media is right now in pop culture and nerd culture, where it's like it's very there's-
Self-referential.
it's called pretentious people, we call it intertextuality, where you do nothing but be self-referential. And it's just like you have it rewards audiences for just watching other things without actually having real plot to it.
Right.
Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's not, but I mean where you sit on one side of the fence is
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
The thing you guys talked about, like the photorealism of the film and all that stuff with the opening sequence and shit like that. I kind of really wanted a little bit of more of the closer end expressionistic, aka the animation style look, because I remember the first Sabenya, they have like a wide shot and then you see the sun rising. It's like time lapsey looky. And then in the cartoon movie, it's like the horizon and then a fucking giant sun.
Yeah.
Which if it was that close, we'd fucking be burning. Unless you used a telephoto lens and made everything flat, right? So I missed some of that stuff. And so when I saw something, okay, cool, I'm gonna get a realistic look. And I was watching it, and as you know, photorealistic as possible, you know, like Toy Story, the opening sequence, the rain and all that shit. As it is, there's always gonna be, at least for me, like I can tell it's CG.
Yeah.
And it made me really actually think like, I wish they actually would have just used stock footage from Planet Earth.
yeah.
Because they have really beautiful shots in there, and they make running gazelles look,
Yeah.
you know, cinematic.
But maybe that's part of the issue, though, because then you're not getting a consistent look through the whole thing. Like sometimes you're
you know,
using real animals.
No, yeah, and
sometimes
that's
it's
what that was
CGI.
the thing. I was like, you can't have that and then have Simba talking.
Yeah.
like that will clash. But I was kind of thinking, I was like, I see what they're trying to do, and it's like cool. And I mean, like the consensus in the world is like, hey, look, you have all these personalities, all these great talents, but then none of the animals emote.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was one of the things because it is a beautiful looking movie, and I've read a little bit more of like how far they went to try to encapsulate like the realism of the animals, but they're talking animals. And so the way
Right.
that the lips move, it's kind of one of those things that so with the cast, you have a great cast, and it was just lost on me. Some of the performances were lost on me, and because of kind of the emotionality behind it, and unfortunately I was taken out because you do have this photorealism, but then the way that their mouths moved at sometimes, I didn't buy it, and it just took me out.
I think it's definitely a clash of some things because sometimes you'll get like Milo and Otis, where you have legit animals, and then you just have someone dub over them, and they're not even opening their mouths. They're just like they're looking at each other, and you can get that.
It's more of like a mental conversation.
Yeah, you can get that, or you can get Beverly Hills Chihuahua,
Yeah.
and it looks stupid, right? So it's like if
you gotta walk a line.
Yeah, you gotta walk a line, and I think this try to do the best of it.
Or you get Sonic.
Sonic
No.
Canucks.
Just saying.
All right, so it's like
They could have gave him human teeth. That's all I'm trying to say.
or
Oh,
human
no.
or human life. But that's also kind of a thing too, where it's kind of like, is this a good live action, or is this a good animated film?
It's not live action.
Right? And so like to me it's like, cool, you're not performing anything. You're voice acting, but there's no physical performance capture, right? So it's like, is there actual any type of camera being used? Obviously you're shooting and stuff and building a set and all that stuff.
They did do not performance capture, but they acted the scenes out in a room on camera, and then the animators took those scenes. They shot them with like 3 or 4 cameras in this big box room, and they acted the scenes out. And they took those and used them as reference.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because like obviously you can't replicate some of the animalistic things unless you're Benedict Cumberbatch or Andy Serkis.
Right.
But I mean, I guarantee you they would have fucking tried.
Yeah.
But so it kind of toes that line again. Is it live action? Is it animated and stuff like that? So it toes the line between those two, and it kind of puts you in this weird place of like, I don't know if I should be crediting it with how well it looks, or also being like, it doesn't look also super realistic.
Yeah,
also,
so
it looks
it's a
too
line.
realistic.
I think the gap, because
So
I
just-
had the same qualm as well, that like the voiceover was phenomenal. Like the acting was great. The voices were wonderful. How it looks is amazing. Like it looks and sounds wonderful. But the connection between those two, like they had in subtleties of like, how would a cat move if it was feeling this way or whatever. Like they did have those things, but it was just weird for Scar to be talking about his past and then be like, yeah, it really sucked when you like killed me, and like licking his arm. And I'm like, how do you feel right now? Because I can't tell, because I know that you're being casual because you're a cat, but I'm having a hard time connecting with you as like a sentient being because I don't understand your cat emotions.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of disconnect of that kind of thing where it was just, and even with the singing too, like the Can't Wait to Be King, they would have all of the animals sing, but sometimes they wouldn't have all of the animals sing. Because I remember seeing a water buffalo who's just like chewing
Doing
cud for a long time, and then this teeny hippo is like, just can't wait, and I'm like, wait, are you? Who's singing?
Hold on. How did
Only
the
some
hippo?
of them. Like in the
how did
animated.
hippo sound?
Animated,
Just can't wait.
only a few of them are singing in the animated. There's still the rhinos that aren't really singing.
I-
Sit on them in the end.
Right, but it was a lot
the
harder
same
for me
thing.
to keep track of it because there's no expression happening. Like that was a big that like killed all of the performances for me actually. Like
Wow.
Even Mufasa dying, I literally nothing. Simba going up the rock, all I could think when he was going up the rock, because I remember in the animated version when he was going to the top of Pride Rock, they were like showing like close-ups of his paw that he's really struggling because he was just in this huge fight, and all I can remember of him going up is like slowly walking up and then being like, "Mah," and that's it.
I mean, that's harsh. That's a harsh simplification.
super harsh.
But yeah.
But,
But-
it's
but
you don't see the physical strife in his face.
There was no. I know that was a bad roll. I'm sorry.
That's terrible. I could take any movie and make it sound bad by doing that.
But
Meh.
but no, yeah, you don't see physical
And then
strife.
Alita holds her sword up and goes, "Meh," and then Alita's over.
No, she doesn't. Edward Norton says, "Meh."
There we go.
But yeah, there's no physical strife in a lot of their face and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that really killed a lot of it for me. It really ruined that gap for me. Ruined most of this movie. There were a couple parts where they started to kind of incorporate more like like when they would be. He did that in the jungle.
Welcome to my episode.
This wasn't a roar. He like
the
he's
kid.
like
The kid.
frustrated with
Oh.
Timon or something, and he's like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" But they actually like moved his face. But there were other times where they would make some kind of expressive sound, and they'd just be like, "Ah,"
I don't think they did that.
and nothing. But I don't know.
I was reading about that, and they were talking about like the stereotypical thing in entertainment just across the board. The way that they represent lions and how they roar is actually false.
Right.
Like when they roar, they don't open their mouths like full. It's more of like a
guttural-
wolf, how it kind of has a closed mouth and it's a woo. I was reading, and it could be wrong because sometimes the internet is wrong, that they don't, or their mouth doesn't move a
It
lot.
makes a
Only
little
when they're
sound.
fighting,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So
kind
it's
like an angry
Which
dog.
and again, I get it that they're
because
going
I had
for
the
the
same. The reason why I'm
realism.
saying that is because I had the same qualm.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like reading a little bit more, and I was like,
Well,
oh, okay, I'm gonna.
It's one
give
of
it a
those
little-
things that I understand why they did what they did. It just didn't hit at all for me.
Okay.
And I know that I'm like the only. I'm my own person. Not everyone has the same thoughts and opinions as I do. I'm not saying
I
it's
share
the,
your thoughts.
Join us.
You're
But
an
yeah,
aggregate website.
it's just like
Meh.
yeah, this isn't it kind of killed all the things. It killed my enjoyment of it.
Okay.
I still think it looked amazing. It sounded amazing. I liked it, but they ruined a lot for me.
Okay.
There, to add to that point, in the kid you love, JD, like, so when he is apologizing to Scar about something that happened with Mufasa and all that stuff,
Mhm.
he says like, "I'm really sorry." That I was like, I could tell you are, but your face doesn't say
I
it.
know.
And so I was like, fuck, I really wish like he had like a droopy eye a little bit or something like that. But it's like
Or
those
like
kind
even little sad lion eyebrows.
those little things. But the thing is, like, also you kind of have to like look back, right? And it's almost harkens back to like theater performance.
Mhm.
Again, it's going back to theater performance. You have to see like the giant gestures in order to see
Yeah.
it, because they're not gonna. They're trying to make it photorealistic, so you're trying to like not pay attention to the face so much, and more of like their body
The whole
language.
yeah, the whole thing.
But I'm still on
not
the same
just-
page.
There were
Just-
there were also moments where like the in between the lions they were like annoyed with each other, and I was waiting for their ears to like do the cat thing where they're like kind of flatten out a little bit because they're like "Ugh," like meh, why would you do this? But that never happened. They were always just like there was no anything happening. So that
Do lions do the same thing with their
I
ears?
don't know. And
Might be why.
yeah,
But also,
which I
think I think
understand.
this is dog. I think this is cat.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. you're right.
Cat goes Batman. Dogs go.
I mean, no matter what, it's your own personal experience of the film.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's neither right nor wrong. It's your experience.
Right.
So,
but
what-
mine is. Okay.
what about you, Corey? You said you had a couple.
Be prepared.
Mm.
It's probably the greatest Disney villain song of all time.
Yeah.
It's right up there with Ursula's song, and for me, turning it into a 2-stanza monologue really took away.
Almost like beat poetry.
Well, the whole point of that song, and the reason it's so good beyond the melody, is that it tells you exactly where Scar's coming from and what he thinks of himself. So you really understand his motivation at a fundamental level, and it also shows the agreement between the hyenas and Scar in that moment, where they're not totally on board, but then he lays this plan out for them, and they're like, "Oh shit, all right." So by the end of it, they're all singing because now we're all gonna
Part
do
of
this
it.
thing. We're all gonna kill Mufasa. We're all in it together. And I just I lost that, and I don't know what the choice was on that. I just don't agree with it. 100%.
I think they just wanted to stay away from Nazism.
They don't have to put that in there, but like the song itself can still
Well,
exist.
I mean, I was reading about it, and because it was at one point like a public thing on the internet, outcry of like, oh, be prepared, it's not going to be there, and they were kind of like, oops, we need
Yeah.
to have it in there somehow.
Yeah, and I think that
So I was actually surprised
they
about the scene
half-assed
at
it,
all.
to be
That they had
honest.
it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
surprised that was even included. So when it happened, I started hearing like a little bit of the thing coming under, and I was like,
I'm almost
Wait.
more annoyed that it was in there half-assed than in
Half-assed.
there
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
I would have preferred it being taken out and put a scene in instead.
yeah,
Because this didn't walk either line. I'm also not. This is a director thing as well. Chiwetel is a phenomenal actor and has amazing range, and I get what they were trying to do with Scar, but it didn't work for me. It was this very one-note Scar. The thing about Scar is that he's vain enough to kill his own brother because he thinks he should be king first, and I didn't get a lot of that. And I watched another review online where they pointed it out perfectly, is that he's still saying Jeremy Irons lines. There's a few of them in there still about the lunch, losing my lunch, for a more flamboyant Scar, and they don't come across the same way for a very
yeah.
serious
They don't
Scar.
translate as well.
Jeremy Irons sounds like he's in the high tower enjoying his tea.
Yes,
Where like the way they framed this, like
he's just evil.
kind of almost a shell of a lion,
Yeah.
of a king, as
Yeah.
it would be. And I was saying,
Except for that new scene they added, which worked really well for me. Actually.
yeah, but then you only get that because he's in power.
Yeah.
but then it gets thrown off when he's like, I was just lying and all this, which is still the same things. But it's like, I almost felt the same thing with Mufasa a bit, with James Earl Jones, where it's like I couldn't help but feel like they were pulling them back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I was like, these guys can fucking give me some.
It was this weird like thing where they kind of like, at one point I asked
Imagine
you, I was like,
Dragons
was
them?
it just me? But they almost sounded the same at some point where there was a scene between the two and they were having their back and forth. And I had a hard time
knowing who was talking.
It was like,
didn't
I mean,
get
of
that.
course.
I mean, they're trying to sound like brothers. I know Chiwetel was trying to hit his register, James's register, because Jeremy Irons and James Earl Jones sound nothing alike.
And so
one's
don't
British,
even
one's
try.
like. So he tried to. I know he tried to match his timbre to be the same.
For me, it was more of like,
Ilk.
I felt like I know they can give me more. They can give me more gravitas.
Chiwetel's a phenomenal actor. He
Yeah.
has the skill for it.
No.
I just don't know if it was a director choice or perhaps both. A little bit A, B.
For as you know, you can see American Gangster, you can go see 12 Years a Slave, but in The Secret in Their Eyes, which is not a great remake, another one, he's fucking great, and like he plays like both like the strength and the vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I don't get any of that with this one. I was just like,
I needed a little
me that.
more vanity. That's the real thing I'm missing is the vanity. From this point of view, this Scar just seems like an evil person. Where at least with Jeremy Irons' Scar, as an audience member, I felt for him a little bit, and I at least understood that he wasn't just evil. It's just that he truly believes that he deserves to
like
be king.
being a
He was
bad guy.
slighted.
Being a bad guy just to be a bad guy isn't as
Yeah.
interesting, but having a what you're saying, like more
I mean,
of a
some of that's baggage. I
inspiration.
mean, Scar is my favorite villain as well. So
who's that one
Yeah.
greasy ass dude from Lord of the Rings who like is whispering into that one king's ear?
Worm tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Grima.
That's
Grima
what
Wormtongue.
this characterization reminded me of. I was like, get this douchey dude.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
So that I was missing, and I might get crucified for this. I'm
out,
not
guys,
a
get
huge
it.
fan of Beyonce's acting in anything she's done.
Singing.
Her singing is fucking off the charts.
cool.
I'm
We
a big
agree.
fan of her music, and I really think she's one of the greatest singers of our generation. At least has the most control of her voice I've ever heard of anyone. But her acting, even stemming from my days of watching Austin Powers Goldmember, it's just very much so Beyonce
Being Beyonce.
being
Talking.
Beyonce and talking. Yeah. You could close your eyes and she sounds exactly like Foxy Cleopatra from Goldmember. And I just wish there was a little more characterization beyond that, because everyone else kind of, for me, disappeared into the characters. But every time she spoke, I was like, that's Beyonce. That's 100% Beyonce.
That actually happened for me a little bit when she was singing, just because she can do all of the like gymnastics with her voice. I was just like, no one else can do this. And then I was just like, I feel like I just want to go to a Beyonce concert now,
If you can afford it.
if I could
But
afford
I think
it.
that's it. Other than Can You Feel the Love Tonight being during the afternoon.
You know what you're guesstimating what were my qualms were? That was not it at all. I was like, I don't care.
That bothered me too.
I didn't
It
care.
didn't really bother me, but it's just a funny.
It didn't care because that's more of like a logic / plot hole, because the song's supposed to be sung at night. But then it's like, again, I was looking more of the service of the story, and I was like, the characters are there.
Yeah.
The characters are supposed to be reunited, and they did different scenes.
Yeah.
Which also, I forgot, this is not a qualm anymore, but I fucking love some of the time lapses they did with the tree fucking crackling and all
yeah.
that shit. I'm like, more please. Fucking
Yeah.
none of this shot for shot. I'm sorry. I was not a fan of all the shot for shot shit, because I was like, why? There was no fucking point of making this movie other than showing me you had the money to make it. And so I was like, there's no reimagination. But then those certain shots was like, cool, give me some fucking liberty. And I was like, you're willing to do that
I
shit
mean,
with-
that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is this wasn't exactly what I'm looking for in remakes if we're gonna go down that road, but it was closer than anything I've seen.
Yeah. But again, that's the weird thing. It's that weird line where it's like,
Yeah.
do you take the liberties? Do you not take the liberties? Do you go too far? Do you not go too far? Do you do
Because
exactly
so
the same?
far, what I've seen in these remakes is that they do take too many liberties, and it just changes the story at a fundamental level. Where this, for me, was still the same story. It had some of the same beats that I am expecting from Lion King, but it changed enough for me to go, okay, I want more change. I want that kind of change. I don't need house beats under my music.
Yeah.
But I do want more.
How about Imagine Dragons?
More lines, like, yeah, right. I do like more of what really like John Oliver or Billy Eichner did, where they understand their characters, they hit their marks, but they're allowed to have enough liberty to
They're
make
allowed
it
to
their
play.
own thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, with that scene, what I was talking about with Rafiki and all that stuff, I wouldn't mind if that scene had been there, but just different dialogue.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
again, it would have been the same thing. Also, one thing, I did like how they had a little from the Costa.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. But also, why just anyone. I don't care who it is. Just add a new character. But why is Jaimin Hansu not in this movie? I think
Wait,
he's been
who?
repping
Jaimin Hansu, he's in everything.
He's from Never Back Down. He's Shazam the Wizard. He's
in-
also
Oh,
the
yeah,
Guardians of the
yeah,
Galaxy.
yeah.
He's not Ronan.
I mean, he's a
Guardians.
Kree. He's a Kree.
Kree soldiers. Yeah,
Oh.
and
Captain
he was in
Marvel.
there, and I feel like
I'm
everybody.
Star-Lord. Who?
But
Star-Lord,
you know,
man.
he has such a dramatic performance out of anybody in
Yeah.
Hollywood. You didn't get him. You didn't knock on his door. You got 3 more white guys, but not him. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I just wanted him. You know, you could have had Chadwick Boseman. You could have had all the fucking people from Black Panther, but they're probably making Black Panther 2.
Yeah. You
had a
dad,
Fair.
But R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yeah.
in peace.
Are we done with
I am
qualms?
done.
Qualms?
I'm
done.
done.
Qualms, 'cause I have-
the Scars and Beyonce.
It's not. It was it was
Just say it.
originally a qualm, but then it was something that I went, oh, okay.
Hmm.
At first, I was really, really bothered by Seth Rogen as Pumbaa
I was
because
too,
I didn't
actually.
buy it. I just
Oh.
there were Seth Rogenisms that I was like, okay. And
Except it
th-
sounds
something
like a
that
warthog.
the thing that really, really bothered me was the kind of the intro that leads into Hakuna Matata. Part of the things that was so endearing about Pumbaa before was that he was a slob, he was gross, but he could sing.
Mhm.
And you were like, oh, that's so cute, that's so neat.
And he
Seth
farted.
And
Rogen can't sing.
Seth Rogen can't sing. And so
But
I
he
was
can
like,
sing within a certain amount of notes.
and so again, it bothered me wholeheartedly. And then I read a little bit more about it, and they tried. They brought in Pharrell Williams
Yeah.
to try to help him. And Pharrell Williams was beating his head against the desk, just trying to get just a note from him.
But real
Wow.
talk.
And then they mixed him down under the mix.
Wow.
And so it's one of those things that it's like, I've known people that I personally believe that anybody can sing, but if somebody can't, you work with what you got.
Yeah.
And
They made it
and-
work for me once
Yeah.
I thought about it a little longer.
mean,
And
but-
he can sing in a range, like he's got like 1 octave range.
Yeah.
Not.
The Wimbaways are really him doing that.
Yeah.
But once it gets up to when I was a young warthog, like you
Yeah.
can't hit that. It's
Yeah.
just straight up.
Are we going on to rating after this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I'm just gonna say this out loud, just for the fucking laughs and lulls. I would fucking pay all the goddamn money in the world to see the drama biopic of Pharrell Williams being brought into this
Oh
movie.
my
To get
God.
Seth
To
Rogen
Seth Rogen do it.
on-
And then they go watch the movie, and then if this podcast never existed, and then it's like they didn't hate my singing,
Yeah.
and that's the end of the movie. Like they hated everything else, but not his singing. It'd be the Academy Award right there. You don't tell him. Oh my god.
So
Well, Seth
that
Rogen.
brings us to our ratings.
I do love you.
Ratings.
Caitlin, you are first.
2.5.
Wow.
2.5.
And I'm only giving
Lower than
That-
Aladdin.
I'm only giving that because of how good it looked and sounded.
Okay.
Otherwise, if those parts didn't mesh up well, it would have been far lower. for me.
Corey.
4.
4 for Corey.
Uh
To me, this is a
oh. I think I know what's gonna happen
this is
now.
the best remake I've seen.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's the best
Hot take, baby.
quote unquote live. I still don't think we need them.
Take that, Rotten
But
Tomatoes.
if they're more in line with this, then I will probably go see them.
then it's moi.
Mhm.
2. No, it's actually 3. It's 3.
No,
3.
fuck.
It's 3.
So it's your Aladdin.
I was gonna do 2.9. Oh, I did 3.
No, I'm just saying I did 3 for Aladdin.
Oh yeah. Again, I pick apart a lot of shit, but I'm kind of like
No, this is
I know.
this is
Are you guys ready? Are you ready to wear the crown?
just wait.
Oh,
I'm really,
no.
really. I had
drama.
2.5,
Yeah.
but again, this conversation was enlightening,
Oh shit.
and it made me rethink some things.
Oh shit.
And I will give it a 3.
Woo!
No.
Caitlin again with the
No
votes. With
No one voted for me. No one expected it, but I am the grump. I am the one who grumps.
We all lost. We
It's
all
true.
lost.
We all, yeah.
But everyone at home and everyone in the Neural Nation, stop picking me because apparently I just vote really high, even though I like will shit all
Yeah.
over it.
You're just grumpy.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's like I could look at it with a critical eye, but you can still enjoy things. You can still love the things you love.
Yeah.
You can still like it. It doesn't change. for
Oh,
everybody.
speaking of which, I meant to bring this up at the beginning because Ali and I agree on this. I just forgot because he's not here. A lot of my rating
likes
comes
bad
from
Disney
how
movies?
I feel when I leave the theater, and I was elated because my expectations I think were lower. And I
I'm-
left.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's-
I just wanted to throw that out
Yeah.
there. That's where a lot of my
I think a lot of people are like that actually. You know, where they base it on their how they feel, and that's what again. It's like, would I watch this again? No. Like I wouldn't go to the theater and watch it again. Like hell no.
I probably wouldn't go to the theater. But
Exactly. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
would watch it again.
Like I have A-list,
Yeah.
but I want to watch like
I don't. I
like
support that
Mama,
local
is
theater.
there a
Lamley, what's up?
you know what I'm saying. But like
Small art house theaters.
But it's like I feel like this movie's gonna make all the money in the world, and it's kind of like I talked about this weird side tangent with Capes Crusaders. David Barrett, he's like, I don't feel like the need to support any more comic book movies or comic book shows
Yeah.
because they're already all doing well, and they're
Yeah.
gonna do all well without you because people are gonna spend the money on them.
Mhm.
And so for me with Lion King and other live action adaptations, like if it's gonna be like the original one, then hopefully it does well. But if it doesn't, then it's not gonna be because of me.
Mhm.
It's entertainment, y'all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's it's like we've said before, it's an escape. It is
Yeah.
what it is. When you get down to it, is all emotion. You just might have language behind it, like you might have been able to have gone to film school and have words to explain your emotional
It's not emotional,
thing.
it's critical.
Jesus,
Yeah.
somebody else take it.
Yeah.
Caitlin,
I know
good
what you're
job.
saying.
Yeah,
you're
I'm the grump.
Congratulations on the grump.
Yeah,
When are we gonna get a crown?
I felt bad because when you were saying how you left the theater is what you based it off of. I walked in.
That's not what I based off of. It just
Well-
affects some of my score.
Yeah. I had very low expectations, being like, oh, they're gonna really mess this up, and then I left the theater being like, oh,
We're past
which
the qualms.
I
Caitlin.
know.
We're
So
now in the
stabbing
part where
Corey.
we're supposed to celebrate.
it was, but again,
You didn't
it's
like it. You gave it
because-
2.5. We understand.
it's because it was so pretty.
How'd you feel that, Corey? That was right in your eye. She
Yeah.
twisted a little bit more. And a
You
little,
took some lemon and then
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and
it's
then
all good.
and then salt bait it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I
Wow.
put some margarita mix on it. I was like, let's
Just
mix.
trying to say.
ouch.
But it's fun.
Well, are we complete?
I
Yeah,
feel
I'm complete.
We are complete. Everybody at home, thank you so much for watching. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us who you thought was going to be the grump. Are you surprised? Tell us your thoughts on Lion King. What did you think of the live action? How did you say that?
Live action.
Live action remake of The Lion King. And reach out to us in our DMs on all of our social medias. But yeah, you can check us out if you're new to Nerd On. You can check us out on our website, nerdon.tv. It has all of the linky links that you can go to with all of our social medias. Every website that you can find for us is centralized there, and you can find us, nerdon.tv.
Find us.
Find us.
Help us.
And share us.
We're trapped here until you find us.
Yeah.
Josh won't let us leave.
Yep. Share us with your friends and family. Do stop by iTunes or whatever podcast app that you use and rate us and review us. It does help.
It's 1 out of 5 stars.
Wow. It is 1 out of 5.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But yeah, thank you again. You know the drill.
How many shows we got?
We have a lot of shows.
We have a bunch of shows.
We have a lot of
Nerd on the
shows.
podcast. We
The
have
one that you
Trope
are listening
Time.
to right now, we have Nerd On the Update, and we have Trope Time. Also, there is a lot of business. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. We are up
See how
for,
he got mad at me?
Yeah.
See how he got mad at me?
We are up for nomination for the Podcast Awards. So you can go to nerdon.io/nominate and you can nominate us. Be a part of getting us nominated for the Podcast Awards. We have a bunch of merch on the website. There's a lot going on and you can check it out, nerdon.tv. Well, now I get to outro.
Yes.
And I'm going to say thank you again for joining us. You know the drill. As always, Nerd On!
Ending broadcast.